Hello, beautiful people. Today I'll be challenging the idea of cultural appropriation. And to give you some context, if you happen to be living under a rock, I'm going to play a short clip for you before we thoroughly dismantle it.
Can anybody appropriate?
Anybody can appropriate, yes.
Not just white people.
Absolutely. Appropriation is intersectional. So old people can appropriate youth culture. Youth culture can appropriate old folks. People who are not incarcerated can impersonate, prisoners or those who are incarcerated. Men appropriate women's attire for the sake of funny and mocking. So absolutely anybody can do it, and everybody on some level may have flirted with it.
Okay, but a lot of the time that people that I've seen are called out for this, it's not that they were making fun or mocking in some way. It was just that they had adopted a fashion or a style or whatever.
I would say that's a performance. So if somebody's culture and somebody's identity becomes a performance, then it's reductive. So if you're reducing, for example, say the civil rights movement to an afro, and you wear that, or you wear dreadlock wigs, that Rastafarians may wear, you do that because it's edgy, because it's cool, but ultimately because it's not you. And you're getting some kind of cultural capital from that by doing it.
And who's hurt by that?
Well, it's not a matter of who's hurt by it, it's who's being disrespected by it.
Well, who's being disrespected by it?
A whole culture of people whose identities are wrapped in whatever you're dressing into and can then take off.
Amala, you don't agree?
I don't, no.
You think worrying about appropriation is a waste of time?
I think not only is it somewhat a waste of time, but it's nearly impossible. You just mentioned there are nearly hundreds of ways that one could appropriate somebody else's culture or their livelihood. And to expect any one human being to keep on top of that throughout their entire life, I think, is an unrealistic ask. And I think imitation is a form of flattery. I appreciate my food by eating it. I appreciate the hair that I wear by wearing it, by putting on the clothes that I wear. And every single item around us in this room could probably be attributed to a certain culture. Do we have to constantly worry about what culture we gain things from?
Does intention have anything to do with it?
Well, I guess I didn't hear anything about anybody worrying about it. What I hear about when I think about and talk about cultural appropriation is people becoming more aware of it. We could say the same thing about racism, sexism, homophobia. Just because you can't solve it and don't see it at every corner doesn't mean we shouldn't be aware of it and trying to address it.
Wow, do you really put those on the same level?
I absolutely
Racism
do.
and sexism,
Absolutely.
you put it on the same level as cultural appropriation?
That's exactly.
So if somebody wears their hair like you're wearing it, you put that on the same level as racism?
Absolutely. I put that on the same level as white supremacy.
It's possible for Black people to appropriate a different culture just because Black culture is the only culture that exists, and every culture has their own boundaries or things that they find offensive and things they want other cultures to respect.
Okay, so the first research term I have for you is Viking braids and dreadlocks. You'll see lots of imagery, and you'll also see a whole lot of pages that you can read about what history says about Viking hairstyles. And no matter what time period or culture of people, having that kind of hairstyle, when you have to wrap your hair or make it tighter to your head, it's a practical matter. Whether you're in a war or in battle, or maybe you're working around wheels and pulleys and things that are spinning really fast, if your hair gets caught in it, you're a goner. So it's a matter of practicality and really has nothing to do with what the children of the lie propose. Now, the second research term I have for you is, if you're interested, is radiocarbon cannot be accurate. So the University of Chicago states this is because there are so few atoms. Now, what we're calling into question is the accuracy of radiocarbon dating. Now, it says this is because there are so few atoms to count. Even a little extra carbon from contamination will throw off the results significantly. A million-year-old sample contaminated by only a tiny amount of carbon could yield an invalid age of 40,000 years, for example. Other dating methods have different strengths. And another research term that you might be interested in is, how many times has science been wrong? And that you can apply to so many different things that we are taught today. And I'm not saying science is bad. I think science overall is good, but science should be taken with a grain of salt. Whatever scientists and anthropologists and others say, even archaeologists, it should be taken with a grain of salt. So you just don't blindly believe it just because they claim it. Okay. Now the third thing we're going to look at is, who invented the business suit? Which that gentleman who was a child of the lie, he was wearing a business suit, and so was the young woman next to him, who is also a child of the lie. And you have to keep in mind that the children of the lie aren't one race. They're not one sex. The children of the lie are split between every race, culture, and sex. So you can have a white female who is a child of the lie, and you can have a black man who is a truth seeker and a child of the truth. I see so many black people who are children of the truth, and they battle children of the lie within their own race. I see white people doing the same thing. I see Arabs doing the same thing. I see Asians doing the same exact thing. We are divided within our own cultures and races between children of the lie and children of the truth. And forever we battle. And it's easy to see who is who. Alright, so here we're going to study the history of suits, like business suits and three-piece suits and things like that. And it comes out of Europe from, in between 1600s and today is when it was all evolved into what we wear today, the business suit, or what we call the business suit. It's not worn by just business people. It really, I think it started in the court systems of Europe, where they were wearing lacy things and there was a bunch of disease and pathogens going around. So they thought it was a health risk to have all that lacy, flowy gowns. So that was when the suit was invented, a two-piece attire consisting of a jacket and pants that matched, same matching material. But it really doesn't matter who invented the suit. But I just want to show you how they are themselves culturally appropriating. So they're hypocrites. And that's what the children of the lie do. They have a hypocritical nature, a do as I say and not as I do nature, which is of the dragon. That's the nature of the dragon, is to be a liar, a deceiver, a manipulator, and spread lies around that are very harmful, malicious type lies. Not the kind of lie where you tell your friend, oh, you look great, even though they might look silly. From people who are influenced by the dragon, metaphorically speaking, they are malicious lies that can hurt millions and millions of people if the lie is not put in its place. Alright, the next thing we're going to look at is who invented glasses. Because they're also wearing glasses. And that's okay. We can all wear glasses. It's not anything hateful. And really, it doesn't matter who invented it. It's so silly. It just shows how silly and crazy the children of the lie are. And the last thing I have for you is, which you can see so many hundreds of examples of children of the lie aggressively attacking people who they think are culturally appropriating from their culture. And a lot of the time, they're even wrong about that. Some of these things that they think are from their culture are from another culture, or all cultures, out of practicality. This is how the dragon operates. So you can type in to YouTube, if you want to see videos of it, white man attacked for having dreadlocks. Next, you can type in white girl attacked for having braids. And you can see how deep and ridiculous this whole concept goes. So what it is we are dealing with a type of person, people, from every race, from both sexes, who use lies to destroy nations and destroy lives and to hurt people. That's what we're dealing with. Alright, so I hope this gives you a little bit of a tool that you can stick in your tool belt and take out and show to people whenever you hear nonsense come out of their mouth. Alright, I hope your day goes well, and I'll talk to you soon.